sitting, watching flowers in the rain. Feel the power of the rain, making the garden grow. I'm just sitting, watching flowers in the rain. Feel the power of the rain, keeping it.
All of a sudden, Tony Blackburn was on, and whoever should have sorted the record was that didn't, and he dived for the pile and picked out the first one and put it on, and it just happened to be ours. It was a total, luck, total luck, and but it did become infamous, as you say, because we had a lot of strange publicity going on at that time. But the chap that was managing us at the time, Tony Secunda, he had he used to have these postcards printed every time we had a record out. But he had this one printed with Harold Wilson on it, with his secretary, which was sort of libelous, to say the least. And he was advised by a solicitor not to let it go anywhere, not to use it. But he gave a few to his friends, and one ended up posted in 10 Downing Street.
To make sure that Harold Wilson saw it. And he obviously was going to get a big reaction from him, because he wasn't going to stand for it. And he didn't. And he took us to court, and we were in High Court in London.
And all of a sudden, we had the big black limousine waiting for us outside the gig, with MI5 in it, and we were up in the Old Bailey about a month later.
Publicity-wise, he worked, but in other ways he didn't, because we thought it was going over the top, and it worried us. We were pretty scared being sued by the Prime Minister, and plus we lost all the royalties off the record, A and B side, and one who really suffered the most was Roy Wood, because he wrote the A and the B side, and to this day we've never had a penny royalties from that.
I'm just sitting, watching flowers in the rain. Feel the power of the rain, making the garden grow. I'm just sitting, watching flowers in the rain.
We used to chop up television screens, TVs, smash television screens on stage every night. We'd take a TV, and this was our protest against the one-eyed monster, that was ruling our lives. Where really on our nights off we used to sit and watch the telly like everybody else, But Carl Wayne used to take this great big axe and just put it through the TV screen, and these tubes would explode. And Tony made sure there were photographers there to get it all down on film and on camera. And one night he told the press that there was going to be a major happening down there. There was going to be a riot of some sort, and we just set a few explosives off, and it wasn't that much of a big deal. But Tony phoned the fire department and said there was a major fire in Denmark Street or whatever, and there were fire engines and police cars everywhere. And again, it was all captured for the press.
Cast your mind back 10 years to the girl who was next to me in school. If I put my hand upon her leg,
Fire Brigade, I don't know, I haven't got a clue how that came about. The title just came into my head and I grabbed it. It was one of those. We were in the recording studio the following day, and at that time we couldn't afford to have separate rooms in the hotel, so we used to all sort of gang up. It was like a dormitory, It's a place we used to stay in London. And for the first time I actually got a room on my own. The lads all chipped in and we got my own room, and Carl Wayne brought me a bottle of scotch into the room and says, right, we're in the studio at 10 o'clock tomorrow, we need a song. and they shoveled me into the room at, I think it was about 12 o'clock on the night. And they all went out for a meal, and I started. I was going all night. I wrote Fire Brigade, and they came in about 8:30 in the morning, and they all joined in singing it.
get the fire brigade, get the fire brigade, say the building's not to really burn. Get the fire brigade, get the fire brigade.
Some of the early move stuff, such as, I suppose, like any of the Grassground Players in the Rain, were left over from when I was at art school. I actually wrote some stories that were fairy stories for adults, and when I got into writing songs, that was the first thing I went for. I got my folder out and I had like ready-made lyrics.
In those days, it's so much different from today. There were so many places to play. I mean, about 90% of the pubs, it seemed, had live music. And there were lots of clubs. You used to do loads of doubles, you do a pub, then a club, and even places like the ice rink, they have live music there, and there are a lot of youth clubs. There was lots and lots of places to play. The most famous circuit in Birmingham was the Regan circuit, which was the Plaza in Old Hill, and the Plaza Handsworth, and I think it was the Gary Owen Club and the Ritz. There's 4 venues, and this had quite we had a real reputation that they used to have so many people playing. They'd have like 6 bands a night, plus maybe the star attraction, which could be anything from the Bachelors to the Rolling Stones. I mean, the variance in music was extraordinary. But there's a very good chance you could always get a gig at one of the plazas. And so, if you had a night off, you just drive up in your van to one of the Regans old man Regan who's running, and say, "Oh, Denny Lane Diplomats, we're playing here tonight." And he'd go, "I haven't got your name down here, lads, at all." You know, go, "Oh yeah, no, he definitely booked us." "Oh, all right then, you can go on at 9 o'clock." And you just won't be one more group, and it'd be another 12 quid. That's what was the going rate for playing at the Plaza. We nearly made it with Denny Lane Diplomats. We actually got a record contract. We made a few records. We made several tapes down in London, but we never had a song that was strong enough to be a hit record. That was the problem. And we all became a bit disillusioned, Denny more than most. And then we started going to the Golden Eagle in Birmingham to watch Spencer Davis Group with Stevie Winwood, this extraordinary young singer. And Denny, I mean, we all really rated it. I mean, I was a fan, certainly, but Denny really went overboard. I mean, he became black overnight. He was like, I've got to sing the blues, man. And he within a few weeks he'd left and to form. They were the M&B 5, I think, originally. They became the Moody Blues. To play blues music. And within a few months, the Diplomats ceased to be, just broke up. And at the same time, there was Denny with the Moody Blues on top of the pops, surrounded by all these gorgeous girls, a Christmas edition, #1 with Go Now. Silly as it sounds, way back in '66, and we were about 20 years old, and we were thinking, if we don't make it like now, we'll be past it. Because, once you're into your 20s and stuff, you've got no chance, And so we were aware of the major talents called Roy Wood, who was playing in a band called Mike Sheridan and the Night Riders. He was a very good singer, good guitarist, and actually wrote his own, a few of his own songs as well. And another guy called Trevor Burton, who played with Danny King and the Mayfair Set. So mainly at like Alex's Pie Stand, where we always used to congregate and meet, at the Cedar Club, particularly in Birmingham, where all those bands would play. We sort of secretly had little meetings and just say, well, should we form a new band? And that's when the move was formed.
Well, we go to a place where the job is really cool. And if the band stops playing, there's a jukebox in the hall. Tuesdays, I think, was the day the chart came out on Radio 1. And we all used to get to this one classroom, one of the girls put a radio in, and I remember waiting week after week, waiting for Ballpark Incident to come into the charts. And when it got there, we followed its progress up the charts very excitedly. And I think when we saw California Man on top of the pops, the next day, that was what anyone talked about at school, that was it was like the great record, I thought. And we loved it. And years later, when Roy Wood had become Wizard, I remember seeing him on Lift Off. Remember Lift Off with Aisha Bruff? And he started singing, and it was clearly he was miming, and the whole thing just stopped and jumped during the thing. And Roy Wood didn't bother to try and keep up the mime. He just stood there going like this and grinning. And this really appealed to us. This was obviously a Brummy lad just having a bit of a go and having a laugh, So we really loved. I bought Wizard Brew and Boulders and all those albums. I thought Roy Wood was great.
I sort of still sit down and write a song in the old-fashioned way with a guitar or a piano, and then I get I load the computer up and get it to help me to actually stick the song down and tape it. I doubt whether many songs that are around today, the kids will be able to sing in the pub when they're 60, you know, to a piano. But I think a lot of songs from the 60s and 70s you could.